Many people have problems with art and not with reality.
A way to sort of cause trouble.
Yeah, it does something strange with your head.
Welcome to the Undergang Armchair.
Bring it.
Yeah, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Undergang Armchair podcast. I apologize. We apologize. It's the last rerun of the summer. You guys can consider this our summer vacation. That's what's going on here. We're just gearing up for a new season. We got all sorts of good interviews lined up. I know we've been telling you that, but we are doing it, we swear. Tomorrow we're meeting with a really cool, interesting artist, so you guys can look forward to that next week. But it's not like the interview we have today isn't interesting. We're joined today by Sophie Dupont. She was one of the early guests. She's been up to a hell of a lot since we talked to her last, so it's well worth looking into again. There'll be, of course, links to everything she does on our site. She's been doing a bunch of performances, and in fact, she's doing a performance, a couple of them, at the Chart Art Fair, which starts in about a week, a little over a week, here in Copenhagen, which we will also be at. All right, in other news, I also told you guys last week that we have an iOS app available now. We also have the Android app available. If you go to Amazon's App Store and type in the Undergang Armchair, our app will come up. It's a great way to listen to the show and stay current, so if that is of interest, you can find it there. We'll be sure to put links up to both the iOS and the Android apps on our website. Like I said, Sophie's an engaged and talented artist. She has a work ethic to be proud of. She's gotten a lot of work done. She's been traveling around everywhere. I would say she's up and coming, but she's already been here. So definitely, if you're not familiar with her, check out her work. It's also a really interesting talk we had. She's got a lot of great ideas and a clear thinker for sure. Yeah, like I said, Chart in about a little over a week. That should be exciting. We'll definitely be there harassing people and asking them why they do what they do. And this week, go check out the Adam Jeppesen show at Peter Lau Gallery. Another former guest of the show, friend of the show. We couldn't be more excited to see what he has to present this time around. Always quality work. And we hear rumors that Olafur Eliasson's unveiling some sort of great site-specific sculpture installation things up at the Louisiana Museum. So that's probably worth checking out. I think he built a river through the Louisiana or some crazy shit like that. So, yeah. Who says art can't be a river running through a gallery? We're being heckled by the one person in the audience here. All right, that's it. Enjoy the talk with Sophie. I mean, when I knew you were coming on, I was thinking about Nikolaj Kunsthal.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what a great place that is. Mm. I've never seen anything like it. How did you get the show there? How did you arrange that you were, or get, not the show, but the performance?
Well, it's every Thursday they have a performance night. So it's actually almost every Thursday. Also this Thursday there is a performance.
Good you're saying that. I did not know that.
Yeah. I actually did not know it either. Until one of the curators working there asked me if I'd like to present something. And they make it an open space. So it's like you can also show something you're working at the moment that's maybe not completely done. So it's...
Oh, so like not a practice space, but like a space to work things out.
Yeah, work in progress. So also it's not... At the moment, I'm also in an exhibition there. This...
the sound exhibition.
The sound exhibition, yeah.
Which is also really cool.
Yeah, but it's not like, that you have a whole exhibition or... So it's more you come in and you have the Thursday from 5 till 6 or whatever, and
you're just free to do what...
And you're free, yeah. So I was lucky that I got this top space. I think normally it's in the space just below.
Oh, there's that little medium room.
Exactly, yeah. This is where normally they have these performance nights.
Yeah, that's a little small and cramped, isn't it?
Well, it worked for some, but for mine, it was totally perfect that I could come down the stairs.
Right.
And the space is really amazing for my work.
Yeah, it worked perfectly, and it's such like it's such a ritual space too, and this bell tower. I mean, for people who don't know, it's an old church which is made into an art hall, and it has church vibes. You know, you go up there and you imagine the bells, and you imagine it's got these old creaky wood staircases.
It's like a fairy tale, right?
Totally. And that, I think that kind of space lends magic to a ritual, which is, I mean, you know, performances are ritual and rituals are magic, etc. You know, so it was really perfect. Yeah. And I think it was great too for me to see the first performance of yours that I've seen was there. So the whole thing, you know, the lighting's dim and it's got the old creaky wooden floors and
exactly. And it was a gift because I didn't know beforehand that I was gonna do this performance. It was a new work that could come out in all different ways. Okay. So it was almost only just before that I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Right. And then walking down the stairs with my weights. Right. Was perfect because I could almost not keep my balance because of all the weight. And I think this, for me, walking down the stairs, I was already so exhausted at the point when I came down. Right. Right. I mean, you were carrying, many, many kilos, your own body weight in salt, right? Yeah. And when you were coming down the stairs, I was sitting right next to you and I noticed your legs were shaking. Yeah. And what I didn't realize how heavy it was. Like you weren't carrying it in a way that said to me, oh my God, she's about to collapse. I thought actually you were physically exerting trembling as part of the performance. No. But then later it turned out you were actually, about to fall over with all that weight you were carrying. Yeah. Yeah. I was carrying my own weights and it's actually really heavy. And yeah. Right. It's not until you pick up a person who's not, who's unconscious or something that you realize how heavy a human body is. Yeah. I want to go back a couple of steps though. When I met you for the first time, you were at Niels Borch Jensen printing a series of etchings, right? Yeah. And you were just done with school, or? Yeah, I think, it was just after school. Yeah, just like 2008 or something. Something like that, yeah. And you were about to have a show at Beaver Projects at that time. Yeah, that's true. With paintings. Was it also paintings? That was paintings. Okay. Yeah. I just remember the etchings. You had these really sweet but also kind of weird etchings of like family scenes and like households, like living rooms and stuff. Yeah, exactly. What happened to that? Was that kind of something you did and then put aside? Yeah, I think what has happened during my time with working with art is that I entered art school with the first things that I've ever done, which is some abstract works. You're about to make someone really angry who spent their whole life trying to get into art school. No, but actually it's good and it's bad because entering art school in this way, I had to experiment a lot. For me, it took, I don't know if it's a shortcut, if this is, if we are thinking of getting into it as soon as possible, because it took me a lot of, how to say, sideways or trying things and then stopping. Exactly. I had to experiment with all the things in the academy that people try out before the academy. So maybe I could not do so much of what is important today of networking. I was not interested in this because I was interested in finding, my own, what really interested me. And I went through phases. I went through a lot of phases. Right. And I think, I'm really happy that I actually did it, because I also did some paintings that, I had some kind of success with this, but it just started to bore me and I kept going. And this is what I kind of still do, but I have found a field where I keep going but it's more in the same, it has some of the same element in it. It's becoming every more time. Focused or more, exactly. Yeah. Right. And also I'm incorporating because before I went to art school, I was a dancer. Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, that seems like it's the point of art school, really. I mean, people forget. At this point, it's so exclusive to get into art school that you already, to a degree, need to be established, maybe not as a professional artist, but as a working artist. And it seems to me originally, at least the art school I went to, had really big focus on trying lots of things.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a teacher who told us, when this was really actually kind of struck home for me, you guys aren't artists, you're art students. And that was really true. We weren't artists. We weren't selling art. We weren't working in a gallery. We were not, like you say, networking. We were trying out different studio practices and different materials. And, that seems to me to be important. And I think some people forget that. Like, they've already established a persona and a style when they go to school, and then they just spend their time at school.
Yeah, and what happens is that you freeze into this form.
Exactly.
And it kind of dies. And what's important in art, I think, is that it keeps being alive, and you keep working with the process, and it's the process that is most important. I mean, in the end, there will come a work out of it.
Totally.
But it's the process that has to be interesting. You can also, I think, you can most of the time look at work, at art, and see if the process has been interesting for the artist,
Right. You can feel the desire to do it and be part of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have so many questions all of a sudden.
But I don't know your other question about what happened to the figurative painting of this, or this, not the figurative, but these family scenes. I actually just think I painted them out. I did it, and I wanted to move on, and actually what happened, which is interesting, is that the first paintings that I entered art school with, which was abstract paintings on magazines, everything that I could find that was free. Like, I didn't have any money at the time, and so I just picked up magazines, commercials, magazines, newspapers. And I did small acrylic paintings in these ones. Oh,
those are the ones you're still doing, right?
Exactly. So I have been, I stopped doing them for some years, but I started doing them again. I stopped, and I still do them. And now it's just part of my routine. It's like a diary. I just do them as, I see something, and I do them once in a while. Now they're a little more focused. I only do them almost always on Italian Vogue.
Why Italian Vogue?
Yeah, that's funny. That's because I found out the way that they're coded don't take out red. Like, for instance, I think it's German Vogue. They take out. So if you paint with white, the white will turn pink.
Okay.
It's just a small detail.
So it's the palette that suffers.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, but let me get this straight. So what you're saying is you didn't need to go to art school?
No, I did. No, for sure I did. It learned me. No, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure I did.
That's good.
And actually what's interesting about art school is that still, I remember some of the conversations and some of the, what is it called? Walk through, when you show your work, and all the other students and the professors are there.
With the
critiques. And I still, I still have it, and I still can see, you can ask these questions. And this summer I went to a residency in Mexico City called Soma. It's a great residency. And it was really nice to be back in school. This was a summer program, 6 weeks.
Okay.
And it was very kind of like being in art school, very intense. You showed your work, you got critique, you had readings and all this.
Working with other people who are working.
Yeah. And they're asking questions. And it's so important. I think it's important to be out of it and, just focus and just find out, researching on your own project. But then it's really nice to come out and having people to question it. And I think the more you work, or for me at least, the more I work, the more I also have conversations with people about my work. And I don't, in art school, I was very fragile, and I really did not like it. I could be very angry sometimes when people were critiquing me, because I felt so, like
Personally attacked.
Yeah, and also I was not so sure about what I was doing, so it was almost like I was not strong enough to take it. But I am now, and that's, I love these conversations because it's just, listening to people, what they get out of your work. Then you can make it more precise. Maybe you can see, okay. And sometimes it's just different for people, and but it's nice to, to hear what people get out of your work, and you can make up your mind. You can say, but no, it's fine what it is. And sometimes you can think it is a kind of a communication. So it's, you'd like to hear if what you're trying to convey is, what you are actually trying.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's rare that a person can just work without any outside input.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, I'm done. This is it. This is perfect.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can say about this.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to hear people say, well, then no.
Yeah. Sometimes I hear artists saying they don't care about the audience.
Wow.
And it's not that I don't believe them, but I don't really understand it, because I think whenever you do art and even write your diary or whatever you do, it's like you are trying to communicate something.
Totally.
And
right, because, well, I was actually just listening to a podcast where they talked about how Matisse said that he was not an artist without the audience. Mm-hmm. That what he did was not art without that relationship to the audience, which is kind of rare. Artists tend to, at least there's more of a like, well, I know better, I decide, and you come watch it if you like it, But he had that relationship, like with, if people don't come and look at this isn't art, which I found very interesting. And I think it's probably a healthy attitude to have to some degree.
But I think it's also very individual, because then you have all the, Henry Darger, he never showed any of his work. His work was only found when he died. And,
right.
And it's now exhibited in the great, museums.
But that must be so rare. I mean, the idea of an artist who lives in the attic.
But I don't think he was I don't think he actually saw himself as an artist. Right. He was more doing what he did.
There's also a woman photographer named Vivian Meyer, who died in the 90s, I think.
Okay.
And a lawyer found her negatives. She'd photographed her whole life. She was a nanny. She never married, never had kids. But she photographed in the 1950s in America, 1960s. And they're fantastic. They're absolutely, it's like Diane Arbus, but no one ever knew.
But it's also, the question is if they thought that they didn't want people to see, they just did it and no one really cared,
right.
We do all sort of things to get attention.
Right. Well, it's not like, it's that idea that like you have, like Picasso would paint pictures and then gallerists would come to his place and, beg for pictures. And if he was in a good mood, they'd get one to sell, like that doesn't exist anymore. Maybe a few people do that, but for the, that notion of an artist who doesn't have to network, who doesn't have to have a discourse with an audience or anything like that, I don't believe that idea is useful anymore. I
really hope that, because I think a lot of artists, they're also, shy people or people who like to be on their own, and
sure.
And I really hope that also there is space and interest. There is, but sometimes I know that it can be difficult, because today, it is kind of it is a very good thing if you are, out there and you network.
Is it hard for you?
If it's hard?
Yeah, to network and to be would you rather do it privately?
But the thing is, I never really do it as, how to say, a thing. I just figured very early in the academy that I can't really go out having this approach to it. Right. So what I do is that I go out to openings and I see a lot of friends.
Right.
Because this is where we're all coming, and it's nice to, once a week or twice every month or whatever, just you meet your friends, and then sometimes something come out of it. But for me to have this very this one goal that I have to network in order to whatever, it doesn't really work. Then it's just.
Well, I don't think it should ever be.
It works for some to do this, and that is fine. Right. I think you just have to. What we talked about before we started this recording, you have to find your own way of doing things.
Totally.
And especially as an artist, that's I think actually in all different things in life, you need to find your own way of doing it. And you might see someone and you think they're really great at this, and you copy them. Mm-hmm. You find until you find, okay, this works for me. What's interesting about networking, if you really think about it, is to have nice conversations with people.
Right.
You find people that you relate with, and you have, you dig into a subject, and it makes your thinking broader, and you come out to new possibility spaces. So you think of things you never thought of before.
Right, and that's kind of the point of this. That's what I'm hoping to do, is just sit down and talk with people and flesh things out.
Yeah.
There's no end goal. The point is to be here and to talk.
Yeah.
And that's about it, and I'm hoping it'll be of interest to other people too.
Yeah.
I want to, I think I want to pull it all the way back.
All right.
Because you started talking about how you were a dancer before you went to school, etc., etc. Real quick, where did you grow up?
In Aarhus.
Okay. In Jutland.
In Jutland, yeah.
Okay. And did you go to school to be a dancer?
No, but just later, just after graduating.
Okay.
And traveling and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I was just 23 or something when I went to dance school in London.
Okay.
London Contemporary Dance School.
Okay. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, that was, I was really serious about it. I'd lived in New York, or not really lived, but I'd stayed in the US for half a year, and I stayed in New York for just 1 month, and I tried out all the different places, Martha Graham, Alvin Ailey, Paul Taylor.
Alvin Ailey, I remember Alvin Ailey.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you know it from Tivoli?
No, I actually know it from San Francisco. I saw an Alvin Ailey show there once.
No, but I went to the school. That was really intense.
Terrifying, isn't it?
But it's just all these gorgeous black people and
muscular, athletic,
but they're
talented.
Just amazing. And you get into the studio, and you have the drummer playing, and they're just like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it's great. It's great. But I don't know. I never, I wanted to be a dancer, and then I got in London.
And then how did you stop being a dancer then? I mean, obviously you never stopped to a certain degree, but you didn't professionally pursue being a dancer.
Yeah, no, it was a 3-year education, and I stopped after the first year. I stopped also for personal reasons. My mother died, and it was hard to continue for many different reasons, but mostly the reason why I stopped was that a very good friend of mine, she was a very great dancer and still is, Mette Ingvartsen, and she's a great choreographer. And I thought if I wanted to be a dancer, I had to be a great choreographer as well, because I could just see, as a dancer, there's so many dancers and great dancers, and you can never be sure that you can get a job.
Right.
And so I just thought that if it was, if I would be content with just having my own practice, doing my pliés every day, and I thought I couldn't see myself doing this, and I was not good at choreography. Choreography. Yeah. I never got into it, and I tried, and it was almost too abstract. I did a movement and it was gone. Of course, I could record it. I didn't even think about it at that time. Right. So, I stopped after this 1 year, and I started to teach dance.
Okay.
I worked a little bit as a dancer in Aarhus.
Here.
With Marie Brolin. And then I started to do a little bit of this painting. And
how did that happen? You were at Tiger one day and you saw some paints for 10 kroners or what?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I started, so I did this teaching, and I lived in Aarhus, and I worked as a bartender and as a chauffeur, also in actually an art supply company.
Okay.
But
was that the big one? What's it called in Aarhus?
Rerun.
Okay, no, that's not the one.
At the first you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the first. Yeah.
But at that time it was these were the two.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, trying to do a long story short, I started to do some singing classes, and there was this what is it called? Like small, where you can take.
Yeah, we don't really have that in America. It's one of those great Danish things. Essentially, it's education for the sake of education.
Yeah, and also preschools, right? So
like trainings.
And,
it's a place to try things,
and it's really nice. And they're not that expensive.
Right.
It's affordable.
Right.
So I started to do singing, and it stopped in the middle of the year. And I thought, okay, what can I jump into? Because I kind of wanted to continue doing something new.
Right.
And I thought, I can paint. I don't know why. Maybe because I've always been around to museums with my parents, and I don't know why
this wasn't that foreign of an idea to you to paint.
No, and I actually have no idea why, because it was not like I already did it.
Right.
But I worked in this, in the company with all the art supplies. So I just, got a lot of acrylic paints, and I started to do these small ones, just from out of nowhere.
And then at some point you said, "Hey, I should send this in to the Royal Academy of Art."
Then I started I joined the course, and I got friends with the teacher, Jan Sander, who's the director of the school in Aarhus now. And I showed him some of my works, and he said, "You know what? I think you should apply for the art school with this." And I was looking at him, and I thought he was joking. I was like, "No, you're kidding." And he's like, "No, I'm serious. They're really good." And he said, "Think about it overnight, and we talk tomorrow." And we talked the next day, and I was like, "Why not?"
See, that's where teachers are the best.
Yeah, he was really amazing. And then I would do, because I could do, they're very, very, very simple, these works. Some of them might take 3 hours to do, but they're very, very simple. So I did a lot. I had, I don't know, today I have 400, but at that time, I don't know how many I had. But so he would come around once a week, I think, and he would choose. So he would say, "This is good, this is not good, this is good." And afterwards, when he had left, I would look at them, and I would find out why, or I could. And it was not intellectual; it was totally intuitive. Like I could just feel. I just
this one vibrates.
I don't know. It's something I don't know if you can actually say this today, but I really kind of I could remember what the mood that I was in, or the maybe more in how to say intense it was for me to do it, or the importance of doing it, and I could see the ones he took away was also the ones where I had been. I don't really care so much, or.
You could actually feel it.
Yeah.
When you put some heart into it or something, then you could see that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. As a photographer right now, I'm working on putting photos together, this sort of thing I have behind you here on the wall.
The listeners cannot see.
Right. You guys like that? Can you see that? It doesn't matter, but the point is just that the way they're put together, it has to vibrate. It's unexplainable. It has to make a feeling that you can't really intellectualize, and you can't really say, "Oh, this one works and this one doesn't work." You can just feel it, if it's alive or not alive. Yeah. In a strange way.
Yeah. And for me, I think coming from the dancing, dancing was always for me about music. So it was about rhythm. And I think for me doing the abstract works, I can see this now, that it's also patterns.
Right.
which is rhythms.
Right.
Rhythm. And I think this is also a little bit the way I work with the performances.
Right. It makes perfect sense that it goes into that eventually.
Yeah, so also this is how the performance started, that I actually turned an abstract work into a performance. And this was my very first performance. Turning
one of these paintings into a piece.
So it started out that I got the kind of just an idea that I wanted to turn the abstract work into clothing, like into kind of something that I would wear.
Okay.
And also, you know, I made them on these magazines with a lot of beautiful people underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can see what's underneath, sometimes not so clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this little costume where I was wearing this mask where I covered one of the eyes. It's very Bauhaus in a way.
Is it
also,
the one you were wearing?
It's not the same. I have them in many different variations and colors. It's originally, I kind of stole the shape from Lee Bowery, the performer, the
I know the name, but I don't know.
No, he was big in the 80s.
Okay.
And he's from Australia and moved to London.
Performance artist?
Yeah, but also more in the the queer. So he's amazing. A lot of designers are inspired by him. Alexander McQueen, Lee Bowery, yeah.
Okay.
Alexander McQueen, Vivienne Westwood, and he's an amazing character. He died in, I'm not sure when, from HIV, I think. Yeah. And also Lucian Freud has done great portraits of him.
Okay.
Yeah,
you hear that, people? Look him up.
Yeah, he's amazing. His outfits, I mean, they kind of totally out.
Okay.
How to say? I cannot compete with him.
Right. But you were inspired by it.
I was very inspired by him. Yeah, very. So actually, I'm actually lying. It was not even a performance. It was a videotape take.
Okay.
So I did it. The first one, I only had it as video. And also I was lying at a table in this kind of pose. I could only hold it for, I think, 1.5 minutes, maybe not even. It's like
like a magazine pose almost, if you think of like a model lying on a table.
Yeah, no, but it's also a little more like maybe an ancient pose, with
the reclining.
Yeah. Exactly. What is
like
it?
You're laying on your side with your elbow.
Yeah.
Putting you up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Exactly. And just looking, and the only thing that's moving is my eyes, and I'm wearing this big eyelash. So that's the only thing where you can actually see that I'm alive, that it's not a still.
Okay.
And also you can see a little bit that I'm breathing.
Right.
So I was very interested in this just being.
So you thought you were going to make video art, or at least you were going to make a piece which presented through video first.
Yeah. And then I was asked if there was a showroom. I think it's actually still there in Jægersborggade. I was asked to do a performance there if I would like to do a performance. And I said, no, but I don't do performance. I only have this video, but we can put a TV up and you can show it. And they were like, no, we want a real performance. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, okay, why not? I can turn it into a performance. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit still.
Right.
But yeah, I can do this. Yeah. So I made it into this performance, and I was asked again to do some similar stuff, and I did, and it kept developed from there. I started to actually move.
Right, to think about what it was you were doing in that format. I mean, for me, performance art, I'm really happy to talk to you about this, because performance art for me has always been really, how do I say this? It's hard for me to understand unless it's absolutely perfect. It's one of those things where Chris Burden, Vito Acconci, Abramovich, those people did it to a degree which seems perfect. Mm-hmm. They used the format perfectly. It's touching and moving. And then just mountains of shit followed that, where people were were doing it because they thought it was avant-garde. They were doing it because they thought, well, fuck it. It takes too long to paint. I can just show up, do something weird, and then get drunk with everyone else. You know, it became like a party trick almost in the art scene. You know, and I'm not getting you here to trash performance art, because what I thought you did was really touching and beautiful. And like, for me, that was great, because it was the first time in a long time that I've seen a performance where I thought, yes, perfect. Because the format fits the content. It fits the relationship between the viewer and the artist. And I mean, let's be honest too. Often the point of performance art is to make somebody uncomfortable, or like the audience is uncomfortable. They don't know if they're supposed to react to it. They don't know if they're a passive part. You know, like for your piece, we had to get up and cut these balls of sand or of salt hanging off of you. You know, and there's that moment in which everyone in the audience knows they're supposed to do something, and you're just like, oh shit, I'm required. Oh my god, you know, I have to do something. I'm not passive anymore. You know, and like I didn't realize you had a sign that said, "Please cut the salt bags."
Yeah.
And I didn't see that.
Please feel
free. Yeah, please feel free.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that.
No.
So you came down, you stood there, and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I know what's supposed to happen here, because there's a pair of scissors lying on the floor. I was like, okay, I get this, but I'm not going to be the first one to get up and do this. No way, because what if it's wrong? You know, I'm afraid, you know. And so that's that weird relationship between performance. The audience is not staring at a painting on the wall. They're actually interacting with other human beings. And, you know, and I know Sophie, but I don't know Sophie who's dressed up and doing a performance. And, you know, like, you know, but that's great too. And that should be explored, that format. So, I mean, I guess what I'm really trying to get at here is I mean, do you enjoy that format of it? The fact that the audience...
But that is a new format for me. Normally, I don't expect anything from the audience.
They watch,
they
do your thing. And that's
it. Normally my performances are very still. Mm-hmm. Like I keep my balance on a seesaw.
Yeah, seesaw.
For, you know, like 45 minutes, balancing my own weight, or I put down my own weight. All the things mostly I do in order to create this space, just open space, kind of a meditative space for people to reflect or just pause, or, you know, just whatever, actually.
It's also for you, right?
And for me too. Yeah, definitely. And this relationship between the mind and the body. And so actually when I was in Mexico everything is very different. It has this more wild or crazy or uncontrollable side.
Did you love it?
I loved Mexico, but me myself, I'm very controlled and very still in many sense. Or anyways, they were all a lot of people I had talks with. They said to me, try to maybe put in an uncontrollable element in your performances. And I was like, and I tried to think of some, but I couldn't even think of any. I could think of some, but they were not really naturally. No, it was not really any great ideas, and didn't really, you know, it didn't come from a real reason.
Right.
So, to this piece, I was actually also it is referring very strongly to the cut piece from Yoko Ono. It is called My Weight in Salt Transformed into Cut Piece. Mm-hmm. So cut piece is the Yoko Ono's from 1968, I think. Right,
where audience members came and cut her clothes off of her slowly.
Exactly, yeah. Yes. And it was a very new thing for me to, ask the audience to do something. But I can see that what you just said, that it actually fill out the space in a very logical way of what performance can also be. Because a painting cannot really ask, a painting can, of course, a lot of work can ask questions and demand things, but this is just very one-to-one, and you know, it's happening.
Right.
You can see it. It's
right, and it really affects the audience. They know that they're a part of it somehow.
And it affects me, you know, are people going to help me? And I know that, and I mean, I know it didn't look heavy, you know, so people are not really aware of the heaviness.
Right.
And how much relief it was.
Well, you could notice that something was going on.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was something else. But
I know,
could see something was happening.
Yeah. So it's not even a week ago. So I'm still kind of, you know, thinking about what it was and what it means and if I like to work this way.
Right.
But I really, it's not that I really don't want to make the audience uncomfortable. I just, how to say, point things out also for myself or ask questions.
Right. Well, I'm not defending my right as an audience member to remain passive. I think it's good to poke people every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, group settings are those kind of things where people are afraid of doing something they're not supposed to. You know, what if I grabbed a pair of scissors and cut a piece, you know, cut one of those balls off of you, and then all of a sudden that wasn't supposed to happen. Holy shit! Oops, that guy just fucked up the performance. You know, like.
Oh, you could have cut it in another way, right? You could have cut the whole build that I was keeping.
Right, you could have cut the whole thing off instantly.
Exactly, and I think this is what that's the interesting part in it, and this is what I think Abramovich, Yoko Ono, and all the people who have worked with these interactions with the audience to, you know, to see what is the relationship. I think the piece Abramovich did, which is one of the what is it called? The tin. She has this where she has a lot of different tools and things, scissors, knives, and flowers, I think, and also a gun and a bullet.
Wow.
On a table, and people can do with it whatever they want to, and she's just standing there, and they actually
do anything.
No, and they actually get quite aggressive. Like they even, it's at the moment someone takes a gun and I think put a bullet in it. I'm almost sure this is when somebody, you know, she starts walking out or something, it's a long time since I saw it, but it's only when she starts to actually shows that she is, you know, she can actually move, or she can, of course, everybody knows she can move. She's standing up. She's not lying down.
Right.
But it's just strange how people go berserk, you know, like.
Right. Well, that's the other thing is once that wall is broken about interaction, then all of a sudden, what you can almost do anything.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's a stranger, and you could slap them.
Yeah.
You know, and probably nothing will happen. You know. You know, and that's the other thing. Like, okay, so your piece, you had all these pantyhose, right? Women's pantyhose filled with salt hanging off your body, many of them, but they were all attached to a like some of them
like
were climbing belt
some of them were attached to my, like the belt on the on my hips. It was about 20 kilos or whatever, and I had some on my back, and then I had a lot of them just around my neck.
Right. And it took a while to cut them off. You know, people were cutting them in different ways. Obviously, it wasn't happening very fast. You know, so a lot of people realized, oh my God, there's a mountain of salt on the floor, but there's still many more to go. And it occurred to me, like, a couple times you made a gesture like you wanted to pull it off, but you couldn't get it off.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, I could just cut the belt and the whole thing would fall to the ground.
Yeah.
Now, that wouldn't be as visually interesting, but it occurred to me I could just do that. But then, you know, immediately I started thinking, well, that's probably kind of expensive, that belt. That's, you know, that's not just like a pantyhose, you know. And
it was not really.
You know, but it's just like, oh, does she actually want all of this off in that way? Is that what we're waiting for? You know, where's the end?
Yeah.
You know, like what point, like this interaction is going like this right now, but where are we going? But
I think also it's interesting how I all the time I thought the only way to cut these salt bugs is to cut them open so the salt will fall out. But now I've seen the video, And the two first people, they cut them
off.
whole. Yeah, they cut them whole. And it never even occurred to me that you could cut them these ways.
Right.
And I think just this little detail of how you think about removing them in different ways. I mean, that's enough.
Right.
You know,
totally.
and if you had cut it all off, you know, that would have been fine too. It's just, you know, what do you do? And my intention was this, you know, kind of, you know, because I saw it very visually with the soul just running out and the soul also being very symbolic in many ways.
Totally.
I mean, but so I think this is interesting. A friend of mine looked the video with me and he said, "Oh, it was a little pity that they cut off the ball, you know, the bags all, you know, like
right.
not
The whole ball and
off.
put it down in the
And I was
fabric.
like, I don't see it this way because it's a possibility that they can do this and it's fine.
And it was actually quite beautiful, these small little balls that then got put down and changed shape and everything.
Yeah.
Is there a video on your website?
Not yet, but
It's
actually, there is one being made today.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, the thing I liked the most about it was the theatrical and the visual element of it.
Yeah.
I feel like performance art got lost the visual element for a while, or it became less, like I can see that your pieces are a painting.
Yeah.
To a degree, they're living, they're colorful, they're visual, and just the image of you standing there with kilos of salt pouring off your body into a pile on the floor was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's symbolic, but it's not. It doesn't hit you over the head.
No,
you know?
it's what it is.
Right, and it
It's-
feels like you're talking about freedom and about body, you know, being free with one's body, and about weights one carries, but nothing's very specific. And
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
But do you think now you've found your thing? Do you see like is this just another step, or have you really like come home now?
I think it's definitely another step, but maybe in a circle that is more home.
Right.
To answer this question most precise.
Right. I mean, because it seems like it's really happening in a way. If you look at your CV, you're doing more and more performances.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see your name. Sophie's doing a performance,
Yeah.
you know, at a museum. She's doing a
Yeah.
performance at an art hall. She's doing a performance at a gallery. Like, it's starting to happen.
Yeah.
And in a way, yeah, it just feels like this is you now, you know, and it fits.
It's exactly. I kind of, what is it called when you have your suit specially designed for you?
A tailored suit.
Tailored, yeah. So I think I've kind of tailored my, you know, my art it took a long time, but because I had to, you know, oh no, you know, it's a little, no, this is not correct. Oh, I need this. And I think I've found more and more what different elements I'd like to work with.
Right.
And also the process, you know, how do I actually work?
Mm-hmm.
And I think these elements of it being very concrete, you know, sometimes I call my work concretism. I mean, it's not at all correct, but in the sense that I work with my breathing.
Right.
I work with my weight.
Right.
I work with my balance.
Right.
The new thing is I'll start to work with the energy more in a condensed way.
Like your energy?
Yeah, or the notion of energy one has, or the change of energies, how energy can change, how we carry energy in the body.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little more abstract, but still.
Is this like the breathing pieces?
No,
Okay.
no. I'm not starting.
It's coming up.
It's coming
That's the
up.
next.
That's the next.
What
yeah.
about the long-term pieces? I mean, after reading, I saw the piece I saw was fairly short. It was maybe 20 minutes all in all, something like that. The one that I saw here at Nikolai.
Oh yeah, the performance. Yeah.
But you did one that day, which
Yeah.
took what, 8 hours or something?
Yeah, it was from. Yeah, I do these. They're called marking breath performances, and I mark my breathings, all my breath strokes.
Yeah, your breath in and out.
From sunrise till sunset. So, I mean, this on Thursday it was short. It was from
Right, it's winter now, so
exactly. It was from 8 till 4. But I did it in Mexico City this summer, and it was from 7 till 8.
wow. No eating, no bathroom breaks, nothing.
No.
Wow.
No, I'd like to have all the breath there.
And what does that entail for you to have a longer form performance?
I love it.
Yeah?
I
mean, is
really
that
like
physically
it.
testing for you? Is that like a type of challenge?
It's actually not really. It's not. No, not. I mean, of course, it can be. It's more all this work that I'm interested in between the mind and the body. You know, like a meditation.
Right.
And it's interesting what happens when normally you do a meditation for, 7 minutes, half an hour, an hour.
Right.
But normally you don't really do it for more than an hour.
Maximum.
Yeah.
In our daily life.
In our daily life, yeah. But this becomes just a meditation that never stops in a way.
Right.
I mean, not when you do it for this in the wintertime, but for when it's very long time. It's like, and you just see all your thoughts,
Is your
how
brain
you
just going crazy
Yeah.
while you're there? Like
Yeah.
just everything's blowing up in your brain?
Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
don't know if I could handle it. I mean, of course, that's an amazing thing. You should be able to handle it. You should be able to be alone with your thoughts for 8 hours.
Yeah.
But I don't know when's the last time I did that.
No.
I don't know when the last time almost anybody has done
And
that.
I think
people don't do that.
I mean, the nice thing about it is that I have the action. I have to mark my breath. I
Right.
mark
Something which is tying you to the world still.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because and I think also that's the challenging part, because when you meditate, normally you just fly away.
Right.
You not always. I don't know. It's very different. But
Right.
but this when you have to keep being focused.
Right. Do you find yourself losing it and being like, oh shit, right, I have to make a mark here?
Sometimes I can. Yeah. I mean, I can.
It's a surprising few amount of breaths one takes in that many hours. Like I saw you have a copper sheet out, right?
Yeah.
And you're making one line for each breath.
So it's like the etching.
Right. It is back to the etching. Are you going to make a print of it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So she has a copper plate like you do. When
This
you're making a print.
was actually the shape of the roof plates on Nikolai. So
okay.
it was 82 centimeters times 52. Okay. So the shape of the format are very important, and also that it's what material it's made in.
Right. I think you should make a print of it.
Yeah.
But there's just one little mark, like when you mark off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing. And I looked at it after the performance, and I thought, that's not that many breaths. Did you count how many it is?
No, that's the whole point. Everyone asked me this, but that's why it's called marking breath. It's not called counting breath. Because
Right.
it's like, but that's another performance to count it.
Right, to count it out loud. But I just remember thinking, like, no way there's this few breaths in, what do we say, 6 hours? No, 10 hours. How many was it? From
Was
8
it
to-
8? It was 8.
Yeah.
8 till 4.
Okay, 8 hours.
But I think your breathing becomes very slow. And also another thing is that, I mean, I am doing a lot of yoga, and I am doing some meditation, and I think when I sit there, also what happens, because I haven't eaten so much for 2 days, so most of the time my temperature goes down, and it's hard for me to keep warm. But if I breathe very slow, I warm the body up.
Conserve energy.
Yeah, and also, you just sit still. You don't talk. I do nothing. So, yeah.
I think that's very interesting. And I think it's...
And back to the question, if it's hard, it's also, I don't know if you're familiar with a great performance artist called Te-Ching Hirsch. I cannot pronounce his name actually, but he's from Korea.
No.
Yeah, he's still alive, and Abramovich is a big fan of him, and he does 1 year long performances.
Oh man.
So one of his performances he did in New York, and he lives in New York, I think, and And he did it in New York. He would make a cell, like a prison cell actually,
Okay.
in this studio, and he would sit there for 1 year, not doing anything. And
Locked in a cell for 1 year.
Yeah, and people would of course bring him food, and he could go to the toilet, but nothing. And also he has done a 1 year performance where he set up a rule set where he only can be outside. He cannot go inside. It's okay if he goes into a tunnel, and he can only eat if people give food to him.
Wow.
So he makes up all these the set of rules. Is very, very interesting. You should look him up. But I have to write down his name.
Right. I'll put a link to it on the website when we get that far.
Yeah, do that, because he's one of the most amazing. But what I want to say about this is that a lot of people think also that it's almost like a punishment, but for him, what he says,
monk-like almost.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what he says himself. It's freedom, and I find when I sit there just for these hours, it's also a big freedom, because I say, okay, from this time to this time, I just sit. The only action I do is marking my breathing. I don't even talk to people. If people talk to me, I don't answer. I might smile, or I might look at them, and I just go back to my, I have to keep coming back to what I'm doing, to my action of marking my breathing.
Right.
And people get this, you know. But for me, it's also, even though it's of course the monkey brain you see going nuts sometimes, but also it's freedom.
Well, I can see that you have nothing else to worry about other than making a line on a sheet of metal.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I want to print.
I
want to print. But that's obviously because I'm a print-based person.
Yeah, we can talk about this. We can make a deal.
But what's next? I mean, you say obviously you're working with ideas of power and stuff, but you're just going to kind of keep going. Of energy, right? You're just on a path, and there's no goal. It's the journey.
Yeah.
You're just on your way somewhere.
I mean, I am working in an existentialistic way, I think. Right. Questioning what it is to be human.
Right.
And for me, we live in this very stressful world. We are bombarded with things every day, and we have phones where we are never in just ourselves. We're always in contact with the outside world. We get a lot of information, and it's great, but I find it also very stressful.
It is.
And for me, working in this way is to try to come back to neutral, or to kind of come back to, to what we all have before we have materialistic things. We all are body, we are mind, we have breathing, we have blinking, and we have energy, we have weight, we have balance, we have a lot of, I know that some people don't have movements, but and some people,
we are physical beings.
But
what.
And I like to come back to this, to the elemental,
facts. Who we are and what we are.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me that's very interesting. So this is kind of the, how do you say, what I'm researching, and my next thing is big thing. I have a performance in the Dominican Republic.
Oh wow!
In the end of February.
Cool.
Yeah, I was invited there when I was in Mexico. Some people saw my work and they invited me to come out there, and I think that's really interesting, because the people who are who are in charge of this performance, I follow them on Facebook, and they travel all the time to performance festivals in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, in just places, they're in touch with this, I don't know, underground, I don't know, the art scene.
Out there, a performance art world.
And it's almost like it's almost like there is a cut. I'm not familiar with this. I have to find out, between the Western world and the more, I don't know what you call the, Africa.
Right, the Eastern world, I guess, or non-Western.
Yeah, it's, or at least, I mean, of course, what people are doing if they're based in New York, but it's, it's just Nairobi.
So there's a whole other world out there.
That's what I would need to find out this. I just, have seen it, so I'm not so, but I will find out, I think, when I go there. And
what is it, a performance festival?
Yeah, it's a performance festival, and in I think it's the last week in February.
And you will put information on your website, of course?
Of course I will, yeah, for sure.
There will be a link to from our website.
Yes.
I think that's really amazing. I can't really think of a better way to end it than on that. So I want to thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for the nice talk.
Yeah, thank you yourself.
All right, Sophie Dupont, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out her performance at Chart. It's coming up. There'll be links to that, of course, as well on the show notes of our wonderful, wonderful website. And other than that, we've been waiting for microphones for over a month. There's a certain music shop here in Copenhagen that is falling down on the job. Hopefully we'll have our spiffy new mics for Chart so we can harass people there. Yeah, and for those of you guys who've been following the fact that I'm having a show, I just found out it's in less than 2 months. So gotta get a lot of work done here. Having a show in Barcelona and have very little time to get it done. Okay, all right. Join us next week. We got an exciting new interview with an exciting visiting artist who, I'll leave you guys a little bit of a teaser here, was a nominee for the Turner Prize in 2005. Can you figure out who it is? Bam. This week's episode brought to you by Undergang Unlimited. Intro and outro music provided by MGT Beats. Link to MGT Beats on our About page. Interstitial music provided by RC. Links to that on the show notes for today's episode. As usual, check out our home on the web. It's the best. Undergang.net. Also, come check us out on Twitter, the Undergang on Twitter. And you can catch the episode on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you want to subscribe. And as usual, if you like the show, please tell a friend. We always appreciate it. All right, guys, do a good job. We'll see you next week.